Welcome to the Artificial Intelligence Podcast, ranked in the top 2% of over 7 million podcasts on Spotify. I'm your host, Dr. Tony Huang. Today, we're with a special guest, Johan. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, great to be here with you, Tony. My name is Johan. I'm newly appointed Chief Product Officer at Samsara. Super happy to be here on the pod with you.
So Johan, the most cited labor study of the year puts knowledge work at like 90% exposed to AI and physical work at like nearly 20%. And I'm seeing that like every major lab built for the 90%. So is this like smart focus, or did they all crowd into like the easy half of the economy?
I think they're crowding to the easy. I mean, it's so much easier when you have like a digital presence. Things live behind APIs. The user is engaging through a screen with easy and clean interfaces. But I think it's the wrong one too, in all honesty, because like most of the world is physical and runs in the physical in various tangible ways. We like to say that we address around 40% of the world economy is physical operations, and that's where we play when we deploy AI into that. And so I want to think of that as the real place to do it, but it is probably a little bit harder than when it's everything is just already brought online.
And I saw like a study where like 80% of the world's workers don't sit at a desk, and almost like none of the AI boom was built around them. So was that like market overlooked, or like did nobody know how to reach it?
I think it is harder to reach because like often you need to deploy devices in one way or another to get to them. Because like if you're a worker and you're out in the field, like this is what it looks like for many of ours. Like they might go somewhere to repair a transformer or something like that. So they drive there, they got the equipment with them, and then they unload the equipment, they do a job, they drive back and whatnot. Like it's a physical world where they do not necessarily always have a computer with them, or rather never have a computer. They may or may not have a phone. A phone may not be a good to use in this kind of environment. It may be illegal while they're driving, etc. So you need a custom way of staying connected. So that's certainly one big barrier to like deploying AI overall. The other, I think, is that like you need to be very tangible on creating value in this type of a field. It's different if you just create a TikTok filter or whatever, right? Like yeah, it's making your makeup a little bit better or whatever it is that happens. I don't really understand that stuff, but when you deploy into these and the bar is low, yes, there. But when you deploy into physical operation, runs on low margins, often is a life or death kind of situations in many of these cases. It just has to perform, and having a call it a low precision or low recall or like lots of hallucinations or whatever it is, like it's just not acceptable. So like the bar is different, but the potential for value creation, whether that's economical or like just for society, is also a whole lot bigger.
So with like physical work being at 20%, that 20% number reads like two ways, either like to me at least, like either the front line safe or the front lines just last. So in your opinion, like which one is it?
So you see, like the suggestions suggest sort of displacement. Like I don't think about it that way. I think about it as augmentation. So, and I think that's particularly true for like physical operations because even more so true than for digital things. Like if you're digital, you're doing data entry or something basic. Yeah, it's probably going to be displacement. But in our situations, it's physical things that need to move. It's human interaction and whatnot. So I think about it much more as augmentation. It's about taking people that are doing things, they will still do those things, but making them do them better at higher quality in a safer way, in a more efficient way, etc., such that it goes further. And in many of our customer situations, they also have labor shortage. No one wants to do these jobs. So like they have problems hiring. So therefore, like just augmenting individual, making them more productive and safer is just it is tremendously valuable. So I think about it more like that. So therefore, we need to interpret the 20% number a little bit in that context.
So I see a lot of cars driving around with like dashboards attached to them, and so a dashboard gets maybe like 2 to 10 watts to think with. Frontier models want like big data centers. So like in your opinion, like what does intelligence on a battery budget have to give up?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's right. And let's go a bit deep on this one. So you're right. So like we live much on the edge, right? Like a few million devices deployed in the edge, and they have like we're plugged into in most cases into the vehicle's battery, but in many cases actually it's our own battery, and in some cases our own battery that lasts for years without recharging. So in some cases we're extremely compute limited. In many cases we have a car battery, so it's kind of fine, but it's still we're cost constrained on edge, so we don't have nearly as much compute. So in most of the cases, we train our own models, much of them just visual CNNs, traditional CNNs. But in some of them, we do like with some our own hacks of doing like some form of transformers and embeddings on edge, and then we do most of the computer interpretation of that data in the backend. So we have like smart ways of handling the limited edge compute while trying to filter through the data in a smart way, both compute limited and bandwidth limited. I think it costs a lot to upload a lot of data, so we try to refine it on edge, and then we like do the heavy lifting in the backend when it's not latency sensitive.
Well, on like a rig or like a backcountry highway where there's no cloud to call to, when the decision can't wait for like a round trip,
Mhm.
like connectivity, is connectivity like like a feature, or is it like kind of a liability that you have to
Yeah.
engineer in?
Oh, that's a good question. So, I mean, we build those latency sensitive things for no connectivity cases. Like if you're driving and one detection that we have is like collision warning. You're about to drive into something and we need to tell you about it so you don't crash. Simple as that. And then like milliseconds count in that setting. So even if we had connectivity, we couldn't do a round trip. And by the way, like if you think about like most of the Gen AI, I mean, you got latency of hundreds of milliseconds. So it's like unthinkable even if you have perfect connectivity. So like we build for no connectivity and edge for most of the things that we do. But if you take something like drowsiness, you're tired and you're driving, you might be about to fall asleep. Well, we need to act on edge. People are tired even if they don't have any connectivity. So we need to work on edge, right? Very important. We need to act fast as well. If someone falls asleep, got to wake them up quickly. But the thing with something like that is that there's more you can do. If someone is drowsy, it's a behavior of how they are. They might have sleep apnea. They might have something going on in their life. There might be other data sources that we can bring in to put together the full context. And that's when we operate in the backend with much larger models. Either like just the labs models or fine-tuned stuff that we do ourselves. But that's when we bring in the heavy lifting to spot the patterns over time, bringing a whole lot of more context to see like the deeper stuff. So we do both in combination.
And so like one fleet has like a few thousand robo taxis for it, for example, and another is millions of like ordinary trucks crossing a very daily road, passing the same corner twice a week or something like that. So like in that like scenario, which one actually owns the map of like the physical world? Is it like the ordinary truck drivers? Is it the robo taxis?
Uh-huh. Oh, so you're thinking like who will eventually like be able to mapping the world? Uh-huh. Okay, I think I understand your question. So, like the way to think about it is like someone like Waymo, they have enormously high resolution and understanding of the world, right? They have or phenomenal sensors, a phenomenal amount of compute, phenomenal amount of connectivity on their vehicles, not just like through cellular, but I mean they go into garage at the end of the day and have like perfect connectivity there. So but the thing that they do not have is the frequency and coverage, right? So we have coverage of the entire US. And I kid you not, like 99% of the roads we drive. So like, and this like off-road and dirt roads and whatnot, because people need to go there to service the whatever the oil well or whatever it is, right? So so if we have full coverage and we have frequency, because we have so many vehicles that have this deployed, that we see things much more than anyone else. So who will really truly own this in the end? Well, it depends on what kind of aspect you want to see. We see tremendous value in the data we have.
So for like decades, I think like the industry sold just a ton of dashboards, like more data, prettier charts. I think a lot of
Mhm.
like customers are just drowning in them. So,
Yeah.
and you're like, your opinion, when did more visibility stop being the product?
Yeah, look, it's you're so right. So I mean, if you think about the way we think about this in the context of our customers, but I think it's true for like the entire market. Like we started with getting ourselves connected, we connected data and started gathering it, uploading it to the cloud and whatnot. And I don't know, maybe that's 20 years ago or something. It depends on different people. We're in different stages. But then you're right. Then we started building dashboards on top of this. I wonder if there are some conclusions we can draw from this data. And then we presented those conclusions to humans, for humans to look at those conclusions and for the humans to then take actions. Now we're in the third phase of this. Like, yeah, we have the conclusions there. How about we have agents taking those conclusions and taking actions? And that's what we're building now, right, for our customers. And this looks like things like, well, if we go back to the drowsiness. So, okay, so we connected everything, and then we ran AI on top of it, so we can see when someone is drowsy and falling asleep, or have sleep apnea, or like consistently problems of sleeping, whatever. Well, how about we now take action on it? Like, so we have an agent call the driver. I kid you not, like over the camera. Call the driver and have a conversation with them. Hey, how are you feeling today? How are things going? Feeling a bit tired? I see a rest stop coming up here. How would you think about taking a break there? Maybe like just some fresh air or coffee or something like that. Have a conversation, get them off the road. That's a type of action a human previously would take, but now we're having an agent do it, right? So I think that's what it looks like for us, but I think that's also the trend of the industry. Like dashboards, yeah, I think it's kind of over. Like, why do I want to have all this stuff served for me? Make it come alive instead. Take actions for me. That's how we think about it.
So like the same camera that flags like say like a hard brake can also flag a pothole, like a downed
Mhm.
line, a down power line, maybe a cracked
Yeah,
guardrail. So infrastructure is fixed before it fails instead of after, which is great.
yeah.
So in your opinion, like who loses when a city stops being reactive?
Aha. Wow. Who loses then? Fascinating. Well, I mean, okay, there are a few losers, as you ask, but I mean, let me first just start off with like the things that are good. Like the city responds a lot faster. They don't need to take costs on trying to figure out where these things are broken. The winners are certainly the citizens that get these potholes sort of repaired. I mean, there's kind of an to some extent there are right now sort of an industry around trying to figure out where these potholes are, and when you get better AI and better visibility, I suppose there are some there that will not be able of doing that. There were some businesses that were doing that monitoring in a highly inefficient way, but that's kind of how these things go, right? Like you get more efficient. That's the progression.
So the pitch is that every frontline worker gets a coach, the same
Yeah.
way that like athletes do, right? So
Yes.
the lived experience is that there's a camera on your face, in one other place, which is the cab, where you like you eat
Mm-hmm.
and you sleep. So in your opinion, is the difference real or is it like marketing?
No, no, this is very real. So the way to think about it is that if you're a professional football player or say soccer player, just because it's World Cup times, like you get feedback all the time with an emphasis on making you better. Like if you do a training session of like an hour or two, you may get feedback and 50 or 100 times during that session. If you are a worker in the field, you don't get that kind of feedback. But many of the workers, they're hungry for this. They want to get better. They want to be safer. They want to be more efficient, right? They want to improve. So like they are hungry for this. In addition to that, many of these jobs are lonely, right? If you're out in the field and working alone day in, day out, or if you're in a vehicle driving, like it can be very lonely. So having a co-driver, co-worker, they're with you, encouraging you, helping you improve, and giving you a lot of positive feedback. In addition, right? Like that's empowering, and that's what we're seeing with people as well. We're seeing people engaging very deeply.
So imagine you have like a million robots that are in like a warehouse. What we're kind of seeing is that maybe like the injury rate climbing as the quota did. So when like automation sets a pace no human body can hold, I mean, I guess like whose job is it to pull the cord?
You see, I want to think that like humans are phenomenal. Like I think that we are exceptionally good. We have judgment and intuition in a way that at least I don't see yet. Like maybe it'll come. We can talk about that too. But I think that what we see through all of these types of technology changes is that humans just get more and more elevated and refined to higher fidelity tasks continuously. So in your case, we got a million or robots or whatever you said, like in a factory. Yeah, the human is there to orchestrate. ideally augmented by an agentic platform that handles it. Could be Samsara. That's kind of what we're building. But the human is using the judgment on top of that. Like, what are we doing here? Why does that matter? Is this solving something for a true customer? Are these deviations things that we really should care about or not? Like the more refined tasks, that's what it becomes.
So a labor board just called like an inward facing camera unlawful surveillance. Europe outlawed reading workers like emotions outright. In your opinion, is the industry coaching its way into like a legal wall it never saw?
Nah, not at all. And the reason for that is that it creates value, and it creates value for the customers. So for the drivers in particular. So here's an example. So we had a customer. The driver was in an accident. He was like driving onto a highway, and there was a motorcyclist coming up on the side of him. And so the company arrived to the scene. The driver was in handcuffs, blamed for this accident. But they pulled the footage from the camera, showed it to the cop, and he was freed on site. Right? If there wouldn't have been any camera, he may have been freed after having been put in jail for some time and whatnot. Right? It's like when that happens, and you talk to one of these drivers, or one of these drivers' friends, or the drivers to see this indirectly, there's no question on their mind. Like, no, we need these cameras. We don't want to drive without it. So when you have that kind of a pull for something, now I don't think that we're facing legal risk. And that is in addition to it also creates not just value for the drivers, but also for the companies. And by the way, for society. Last year we helped prevent 380,000 crashes through Samsara alone. Like when you create that kind of a value, I think that society or legislation or whatnot, it will follow along. I don't see a different path.
So when people say the word agent, they typically mean like software that acts for you. So in like an office setting, a bad action is maybe like a poorly worded email. But on like say for instance like a loading dock, it's like 3 tons of weight that moves like in a direction
Yeah.
that you don't want it to move.
Hmm.
So in your opinion, like how much autonomy is too much when the mistakes have mass?
Yeah, uh, totally right. And that's why, like we previously spoke about augmentation of humans. I think that's a key element in physical operations. It's about like taking the tasks that can be automated with an agent and doing them, often, almost always, under the supervision in some shape or form of a human. Like a human being nearby, a human being in the loop in one way or another. I think that's how you overcome it. Um, but if you do that, you can get enormous amount of productivity out of this. Anyway.
So every vendor right now is swearing AI augments the frontline workers and never replaces them. But if you were to kind of like strip away the PR, for how many of these jobs is that true for, and like for how long?
Huh. Like spontaneously, I think it's probably indefinitely, and I don't take that too lightly. And I understand that requires me to motivate it quite deeply. Um, um, but indefinitely, certainly in the context of decades or probably longer than that. And the reason for that is that these are so enormously messy environments. Let's just walk through some simple example because I think it will sort of exemplify it. It's easy to say. So we got Waymo cars, and they are driving around autonomously, and it's so good and whatnot. Like, why do we need to have like anyone doing deliveries and all that kind of stuff? Why do we even need that? But let's walk through it. Like, so you have a delivery van, drives to location, it stops there. Someone walks out, opens the gate, goes to the door, navigates around the dog because the dog is like on a leash, but you got to walk around it. Walks up the stairs to the door, puts down the package gracefully, and then takes a photo of it and walks away. Right? Like some of those elements there. And by the way, when they stopped, they walked out to the back and picked up the package. Like some of those things are very, very, very hard, and they are a lot more than driving the vehicle autonomously. And that is true in all physical operations. A customer last week that I spoke to, like they do food delivery. They drive to gas stations as an example and deliver food there. Well, guess what? Like you drive there, that's just part of the job. After that, you got to unload boxes right from the back. So you got to go to the back, you got to take a lift gate, go up, like pick a box, pick the right box, go in, unload it inside inside the well, the grocery store and or a gas station or whatnot in the right place. Figure out should it go on this shelf, that shelf, should I fill up more or less here? Like it's complicated. It's a lot more than just an autonomous vehicle. It's also a lot more than just a humanoid robot, and we don't have humanoid robots yet. So if I take off my PR hat and I think about this, I'm like, yeah, it's nowhere near.
So I saw that like 90% of crashes are like human error. That's
Mm,
basically the entire case for putting AI in the loop.
mhm.
But when like the AI is in the loop and say like someone dies, does that statistic protect you or does like it indict you or like I guess what happens with that?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's probably less for us because we don't take actions in that shape as a autonomous driving company like Waymo or AutoX or Baidu or something would do. Um, uh, we just advise and work together with the company in various ways. So therefore we're not exposed to that.
Driverless trucks run public highways, while in most states, a robotaxi can't even be issued a ticket. Deployment lapsed the law years ago. So, in your opinion, who's holding the liability?
Yeah. So when it comes to progression here, like legislation certainly is blocking certain things and is lagging, leaving ownership onto companies and responsibility in many cases. But I think that's a temporary state. What truly dictates the progression here is the technology. The rest will follow. The companies want to do the right things. The legislature wants to do the right thing. I think all of that will follow, and it's not limiting in the current case, especially when it comes to autonomous trucks. I would say it's even harder to drive a truck. A truck is a very big vehicle. It drives at high speeds. When something goes wrong with a truck, it goes even more so wrong than when you're driving at slower speed in less in a smaller vehicle. That's why I see that we see that. That's why I think that we currently are seeing much slower progression when it comes to autonomous trucks than for autonomous vehicles. That said, I'm excited about autonomous trucks. I think it will be great. I think it will help our customers tremendously much, and we're excited to have them in our network. We're excited to orchestrate them together with human drivers and fit them into all the processes and the intricacies that come with physical operations.
And we got time for one last question. Somewhere in here is like a system that just shouldn't get built, like the one that crosses from like coaching into control.
Mm.
What does it look like, and what stops the industry from building it anyways?
So I think where my mind takes me spontaneously is just the care for the customer and care for the end customer and creating value. I think that is the stopgap ultimately. That may be unsatisfying, especially from a doomsday scenario kind of viewpoint, which I also like to entertain myself with sometimes. But in all honesty, like um, I think that's what it comes down to. Like customers would not like it. So let me give you some examples of the types of stop gaps that I think would exist in the system here. Um, uh, our drivers and our frontline workers have a lot of integrity. I think that if they felt that things were going in the wrong directions, that would certainly be heard. Our customers are in a very competitive situation, and in the way they compete, like integrity on how you do things is enormously important. Our industry overall runs on trust, and trust is just enormously important, and that fuels the need for integrity in how we do things. So therefore, yeah, I guess I don't see the kind of doomsday Terminator scenario around the corner. There's too many checks and balances in the system.
Well, thanks, Johan, for taking time out of your day to join and offload all your knowledge on this topic.
Yeah,
And for the viewers listening at home, stay curious.
yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Tony.